dive into today's episode, I just want to remind you to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. It helps us grow, reach more amazing learners like you, and keep bringing you fresh and fun content every week. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and let's keep this journey going strong. Hello, brilliant idiom explorers, and a very warm welcome back to another insightful episode of Idiom Insights. I'm Emma, your enthusiastic guide, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you again, ready to delve into the fascinating nuances of some more common English phrases. It's always a pleasure to share this learning journey with you as we navigate the colorful world of English.
And I'm Jack, your co-host and ever-curious word detective, here to help unravel the meanings and perhaps share a chuckle or two as we explore the rich landscape of idiomatic English. It's wonderful to be back in the Idiom Insights studio, Emma, and a big hello to all our fantastic listeners around the world. Thanks for tuning in for another dose of idiom discovery.
It's always a joy, Jack. Today, we've selected 4 incredibly useful and vivid idioms that you'll undoubtedly encounter in everyday English. Understanding these will not only significantly boost your comprehension, but also provide you with more natural and expressive ways to communicate your own thoughts and observations. These phrases cover narrow escapes, returning to work, making comparisons, and unexpected winners.
A truly excellent and varied mix today, Emma. These are idioms that really add character and depth to conversation. Here are the 4 idioms we'll be diving into in this episode of Idiom Insights. First, an idiom for a narrow escape from danger or disaster, a close shave. Second, a humorous phrase for reluctantly returning to work, back to the salt mines. Third, an expression used when something is vastly inferior to something else, can't hold a candle to. And finally, an idiom for a little-known competitor who unexpectedly succeeds, dark horse.
Those are all fantastic and very common idioms, Jack. Each one paints a very clear picture and is used frequently, so understanding them will be incredibly beneficial for our listeners as they engage in English conversations and encounter these phrases in media.
I couldn't agree more. They're all very practical and insightful. And before we delve into the intricacies of our first idiom, a quick and sincere request from both of us here at Idiom Insights. If you're finding these episodes valuable for your English learning journey and you enjoy our explorations, please take a moment to subscribe or follow our podcast on your preferred listening platform.
Yes, subscribing is the best way to ensure you don't miss any of our future idiom adventures and linguistic discoveries. And if you're feeling extra supportive, a like or a positive rating on your podcast platform truly helps other English learners discover Idiom Insights. We are so grateful for your engagement and continued support. It really fuels our passion for this.
It genuinely makes a massive difference. Thank you all for being part of our community. Right then, Emma, are you ready for our first idiom, which sounds a bit dangerous?
Let's do it! Our first idiom for this episode of Idiom Insights is a close shave.
A close shave? This makes me think of using a razor and just barely avoiding cutting yourself. Is the meaning of the idiom related to that feeling of a near miss, Emma?
That's exactly the image and the meaning, Jack. A close shave is a situation where you narrowly escape from a dangerous or disastrous situation. It means you just barely avoided an accident, a problem, or some other negative outcome. The shave is so close that the razor almost cut the skin. The escape was by a very small margin.
So it's about a narrow escape. It's similar to by the skin of your teeth, which we've discussed before, but a close shave often emphasizes the element of danger or a potential accident. If you're crossing the street and a car speeds past, just missing you, you could say, "Wow, that was a close shave."
Precisely. Or if a company almost went bankrupt but managed to secure a last-minute investment to save it, they had a close shave with financial ruin. It implies that a negative outcome was very, very near. It often carries a sense of relief that the disaster was avoided.
It's a very common way to describe any kind of near miss. It could be physical danger, like avoiding an accident, or it could be a social or professional danger, like almost making a huge career-damaging mistake at work, but catching it at the last second.
Yes, it's quite versatile. The key is that feeling of, phew, that was close. You were in a precarious situation and only just managed to come through it safely.
So, it's about that heart-stopping moment when you realize you almost didn't make it.
Exactly. It's all about that narrow margin of escape.
Okay, So, a close shave is a narrow escape from a dangerous or disastrous situation. Ready to hear Mia and Mark use this idiom?
Let's listen in. I wonder what near disaster one of them might have just avoided.
Mark, you look a little pale. Are you all right? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
Oh, Mia, I'm okay now, but my heart is still pounding. I just had a very close shave in the office a few minutes ago. I thought I was about to cause a complete catastrophe.
A close shave? What on earth happened? Did you trip and almost fall? Or spill something on important equipment?
Was much worse than that. I was doing some cleanup on the main company server, deleting old files to free up space. I was working through a long list, and for a split second, I wasn't concentrating properly, and I almost deleted the entire current client project folder instead of the archived one next to it. My finger was literally hovering over the delete button when I realized my mistake.
Oh my goodness, Mark. Deleting the entire current client folder? That would have been an absolute disaster. We would have lost weeks of work. That really was a close shave. I'm so glad you caught it in time.
Tell me about it. My career flashed before my eyes. It was a very important reminder to always double-check everything, especially when working on the server.
That was a perfect example. Mark described how he narrowly avoided deleting a crucial project folder as a close shave, emphasizing the disastrous consequences he had just barely managed to escape.
Exactly. The idiom conveyed the seriousness of the potential accident and the immense relief he felt after avoiding it by the narrowest of margins. It really highlighted that heart-stopping moment.
It's a very common and descriptive idiom for that kind of narrow escape from trouble.
It is. So next time you narrowly avoid a problem or an accident, you can say you had a close shave.
And we'd love to hear about a close shave you've had. What was the near disaster? Share your stories in the comments section below this episode.
Great idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our second idiom in this episode of Idiom Insights. This one is for anyone who has to go to work.
Our second idiom today is back to the salt mines.
Back to the salt mines. This sounds rather grim, like being forced to do hard labor. What does this idiom mean? And is it always used so seriously, Jack?
That's a great question, Emma, because the tone is key here. The idiom back to the salt mines is a humorous, exaggerated, and resigned way of talking about returning to one's daily work or a difficult or tedious task, especially after a pleasant break like a holiday or a lunch break. The origin refers to the historical punishment of being sentenced to hard, grueling labor in actual salt mines. So, idiomatically, it's a joke comparing your ordinary job to this terrible fate.
So it's used humorously and isn't a genuine complaint about one's job being as bad as forced labor. If you've just had a lovely 2-week holiday and it's your first day back in the office, you might side to a colleague and say, "Well, it was nice while it lasted. Time to go back to the salt mines."
Precisely. Or if you're enjoying a coffee break with a coworker and the break time is over, you might say, "Well, I suppose it's back to the salt mines for us." It's a lighthearted way to express a slight reluctance to return to your work or duties. It's a shared joke about the drudgery of work.
It implies that the work is perhaps not the most exciting or enjoyable thing in the world, but you're accepting that you have to do it. It's that feeling of, the fun is over, now back to reality.
Yes, it's all about that humorous resignation. You would not use this to make a serious complaint about your working conditions. For that, you would use much more direct language. This is for informal, lighthearted contexts among peers.
So it's a joke about the daily grind.
Exactly. A very common workplace joke.
So back to the salt mines is a humorous way to talk about returning to work or a tedious task, especially after a pleasant break. Ready to hear Mia and Mark use this idiom?
Let's listen in. I wonder what pleasant break might be coming to an end for them.
Oh, Mark, that was such a lovely lunch break. It was so nice to sit outside in the sunshine for an hour and just chat about things other than work. I feel so much more relaxed.
I agree, Mia. That was wonderful. I almost forgot we were at work for a little while. That new cafe is great, and it was the perfect day for sitting outside. I wish we could stay here all afternoon.
Me too, but I just looked at the time and our break is officially over. We have that long budget meeting starting in 5 minutes. That's going to take up the rest of the afternoon.
The budget meeting. You're right. The dream is over. Well, it was nice enjoying the sun, but I suppose it's time to head back to the salt mines. Shall we go?
I suppose we must. Back to the salt mines it is. Let's hope the meeting has good coffee at least.
That dialogue perfectly illustrates the idiom. Mark used back to the salt mines in a humorous and resigned way to describe returning to their work, specifically a long meeting, after a very pleasant lunch break in the sun.
Exactly. The idiom captured that lighthearted reluctance to end a nice break and return to the daily grind of their jobs. It was a shared joke between colleagues about the end of their leisure time.
It's a very common and relatable workplace idiom.
It is. So next time you're reluctantly returning to work after a nice break, you can sigh to a colleague and say it's time to go back to the salt mines.
And we'd love to hear what your personal salt mine is. What task do you humorously dread returning to? Share your thoughts in the comments below this episode.
Wonderful idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our third idiom in this episode of Idiom Insights. This one is about making comparisons.
Our third idiom for today is can't hold a candle to.
Can't hold a candle to. This is a very intriguing phrase. What does it mean when something or someone can't hold a candle to another, Jack?
It's a great idiom for making a strong comparison, Emma. To say that one thing or person can't hold a candle to another means that the first thing or person is vastly inferior, much less skilled, or not nearly as good as the second one. It's a way of saying there is no comparison. One is so much better than the other.
So it's a very strong statement of inferiority. If someone says, the new movie in the series is okay, but it can't hold a candle to the original film, they mean the original film was much, much better.
Precisely. The origin of this phrase is quite interesting. It's thought to come from a time before electricity, when apprentices or assistants would have to hold a candle to provide light for a more skilled master craftsman to work. If an apprentice was so unskilled that they weren't even considered competent enough to do this simple task of holding the candle, then they were very inferior indeed. So if something can't even hold a candle to another, it's not even worthy of being in a supporting role.
That's a fascinating origin. It really emphasizes the huge gap in quality or skill. So you can use it to compare almost anything. People's abilities, products, experiences, works of art.
Yes, it's very versatile. You might say, he's a good singer, but he can't hold a candle to the great opera singers of the past. Or, this new smartphone is good, but its camera can't hold a candle to the one on my old phone. It's always used to highlight the superiority of the second item mentioned.
So it's a very emphatic way of saying is not nearly as good as.
Exactly. It expresses a very clear and strong comparison.
So when something can't hold a candle to another, it means it is vastly inferior or not nearly as good. Ready to hear Mia and Mark use this idiom?
Let's listen in. I wonder what two things they might be comparing so strongly.
Mark, I tried that new, very expensive Italian restaurant downtown last night. The one that everyone has been raving about and that got all those glowing reviews.
Oh, La Splendida? I've been wanting to try that place. It looks so fancy. So, was it amazing? Was the food incredible?
Well, Mark, it was okay. The restaurant itself was beautiful and the service was very professional. But the food, I have to be honest, it was a little disappointing for the price.
Really? Disappointing? In what way? I thought it was supposed to be the best Italian food in the city.
It was fine, but it wasn't special. And it made me think of that tiny, family-run Italian place your parents took us to in that little village last year, remember? The one with the simple decor and the nonna cooking in the back? The homemade pasta we had there was the best I've ever tasted. Honestly, the fancy food at La Splendida can't hold a candle to the authentic, flavorful meal we had at that little village restaurant. There's just no comparison.
That dialogue perfectly illustrates the idiom. Mia used can't hold a candle to make a strong comparison between the two Italian restaurants, stating that the expensive, fancy one was vastly inferior in terms of food quality to the simple, authentic, family-run place she had experienced before.
Exactly. The idiom powerfully conveyed the huge gap in quality and her clear preference for the more authentic meal, despite the other restaurant's fame and price.
It's a very common and effective way to express a strong preference through comparison.
It is. So next time you want to say that something is not nearly as good as something else, remember the idiom, it can't hold a candle to it.
And we'd love to hear your own comparisons. What is something you think can't hold a candle to something else? Share your opinions in the comments below this episode.
Wonderful idea, Jack. Now, we've arrived at our fourth and final idiom for this episode of Idiom Insights. This one is about an unexpected winner.
Our final idiom for today is dark horse.
Dark horse? This is a very intriguing term. It makes me think of a mysterious horse. What does it mean when a person is described as a dark horse, Jack?
It is a very intriguing term, Emma, and its origin is from horse racing. A dark horse is a candidate a competitor, or a person who is little known or not expected to do well in a competition or situation, but who then unexpectedly wins or succeeds. The dark part refers to their unknown qualities. Not much is known about their abilities.
So it's about a surprise winner or an unexpected success story. If in a political election, a relatively unknown candidate with little funding suddenly gains a lot of support and wins against more famous and well-funded opponents, that candidate would be considered the dark horse of the election.
Precisely. Or, in a sports tournament, a team that is not highly ranked and that nobody expects to win, but then they manage to defeat all the top teams and win the championship, is a classic dark horse. The key elements are being previously unknown or underestimated, and then achieving surprising success.
It's a very exciting concept, isn't it? Everyone loves a dark horse story where the underdog triumphs against the odds. It implies a hidden talent or potential that was not apparent to others.
Yes, it's a very popular narrative. It can be used for any kind of competition, a talent show, an award ceremony, a race for a promotion at work. It's anyone who emerges from obscurity to achieve an unexpected victory.
So, if a quiet, unassuming colleague enters a company talent competition and nobody expects much from them, but then they deliver a stunning performance and win, they are the dark horse of the competition.
Exactly, the surprise champion.
So, a dark horse is a little-known competitor or candidate who unexpectedly wins or succeeds. Ready to hear Mia and Mark use this idiom?
Let's listen in. I wonder what competition they might be discussing that had a surprise winner.
Mark, did you see the results of the annual company bake-off competition? I was so sure that Susan from finance was going to win again this year. Her cakes are always legendary.
I thought Susan was the clear favorite too, Mia. She's won for the last 3 years in a row. Her chocolate fudge cake is a work of art. So, did she win again?
No, you won't believe it. She came in second. The winner was actually David, the quiet new guy from the IT department.
David from IT? I didn't even know he baked. He's so quiet. I don't think anyone really expected him to even enter, let alone win. What did he make?
He made this incredibly complex lemon and meringue tart with perfect pastry and decoration. It apparently tasted divine. Nobody knew he had this hidden talent. He was a complete dark horse. He came out of nowhere and beat the reigning champion. Everyone was so surprised.
Wow, a dark horse victory. Good for David. That's fantastic. It's always fun when an unexpected competitor comes along and shakes things up.
That dialogue perfectly illustrates the idiom. Mia described David as a dark horse in the bake-off competition because he was a little-known competitor who nobody expected to win, but who then surprised everyone by defeating the reigning champion and achieving an unexpected victory.
Exactly. The idiom captured the element of surprise and his previously hidden talent, which led to his unforeseen success. It highlighted his status as the unexpected winner.
It's a very common and exciting way to describe an underdog who triumphs.
It is. So, next time you see a little-known competitor achieve a surprising victory, remember the idiom, they are the dark horse.
And we'd love to hear about a dark horse you've seen in sports, politics, or any competition. Who was the surprise winner? Share your stories in the comments below this episode.
We always appreciate reading your comments and insights. Well, Jack, we've explored 4 more really insightful and useful idioms in this episode of Idiom Insights.
We certainly have, Emma. Just to recap for everyone tuning into Idiom Insights today, we learned
A close shave, meaning a narrow escape from a dangerous or disastrous situation.
back to the salt mines, a humorous way to talk about returning to work or a tedious task.
Can't hold a candle to, used to say that something is vastly inferior or not nearly as good as something else.
And dark horse, a little-known competitor or candidate who unexpectedly wins or succeeds.
4 more fantastic additions to your English idiom repertoire. Remember, the best way to make these phrases a natural part of your vocabulary is to actively listen for them in real-life conversations and media, and then to build your confidence by trying to use them yourself in appropriate contexts.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to experiment. The more you use them, the more comfortable and fluent your English will become, and the more you'll be able to express nuanced meanings with flair.
And if you enjoyed learning with us today, and we sincerely hope you did, please consider giving this episode of Idiom Insights a like and leaving us a positive review on your podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more learners and continue creating this content.
And make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button for Idiom Insights so you don't miss any of our future episodes, where we'll continue to unravel the wonderful and sometimes witty world of English idioms.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure exploring these phrases with you.
Keep learning, keep listening, and we'll talk to you again next time on Idiom Insights.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya!